Welcome to Cinephile. This time, we're going to break down the Transformers films in their correct chronological order, starting with Transformers 1 and continuing hundreds of millions of years into the future to cover the rest of the movies. You'll witness the rise of the Autobots, the betrayal of the Decepticons, and the countless battles that have shaped their destiny. As always, I hope you like the recap and enjoy. The story begins with a robot named Orion Pax, who in the future will become Optimus Prime. Orion sneaks into the library by avoiding traps to check other records about the history of his species. He then sees how his creator, Primus, sacrificed himself to create Cybertron, the planet where they live. From the core of Cybertron, Primus created the first Transformers known as Prime. Prime then gave them the Matrix of Leadership, a super powerful artifact. With that, energon or a vital energy source flows rapidly to keep life growing on the planet. Orion also heard how Cybertron was peaceful until Matrix disappeared, stopping the flow of energon. Which suddenly, a drone approached and Orion was in big trouble. Orion then ran away but was caught by a guard named Darkwing and his brother. The guards reminded him that he shouldn't have returned to the library, which Orion then tried to distract the guards by talking to them. And finally, he managed to escape outside, but the guards continued to chase him. Then Orion's friend came in and distracted the guards. Where he was D16, namely Megatron in the future known as Decepticon. After being safe, Orion came out of hiding. D16 suspected that Orion had been in the archives. He asked if risking his life just for old info like that was worth it. However, Orion reminded him, where the sooner they found him, the less time they would spend digging for energon. Then Orion gave him a sticker of Megatronus Prime, the strongest Prime in history who was also D16's idol. Then they all went to Captain Alita to continue mining energon. At that time, there was a problem with mineral instability, and they had to leave immediately. However, D16 was trapped, then Orion and the others remained there to help. Where the energon situation became uncontrollable, but fortunately they were able to escape from the tunnel thanks to Orion's help. However, because it was considered not to comply with the protocol, Alita was fired for risking the lives of robots that could not transform. After that, they saw a broadcast from Sentinel Prime, who reported back that they had not succeeded in finding another Matrix. But he promised to keep looking for it. He also said that tomorrow, they would all not work, to enjoy the 5,000th IACON race. D16, who felt sad because he knew they still had to continue working in the mine, then Orion suggested they join the race. But D16 rejected the idea because they can't fly or transform. The next day, Orion takes D16 through a restricted area in order to find a good place to watch the race. However, Orion has other plans as he straps a buster to D16, determined to show them that they are more than just miners. Sentinel Prime watches them race, and the miners watching get excited to see them compete. Orion and D16 make progress, even overcoming obstacles. But just when it seems like they are about to make history, a Transformer catches up with them. Until finally, these two friends had to be in last place. An angry D16 demands that Orion take responsibility for what he was forced to do. But Orion says that he felt alive, and that it was an amazing experience. Sentinel Prime then comes over and says that watching the miners race was the most amazing thing he has ever seen. He may have even joked that he would not punish them, because he admires them for their ideas. Sentinel then asks Arachnid to take them to his place to offer them better jobs. But they were surprised when they were taken by Darkwing, who told them that they would not see anyone again in their new destination. And well, they were locked in the melting area. There, they then found the only robot. And while the robot saw them, he was relieved because he was not hallucinating. He then introduced himself as B127, but often called B. D16 then asked about the exit, but B said there was no way out. B then showed them what to do with the scrap. B was excited to get to know all about them while sharing everything about himself. B then introduced his friends made of trash. But just when they started to think B was a little crazy, Orion accidentally destroyed one of the trash robots and found a chip with a distress message, which Orion recognized that it was Alpha Trion, one of the 13 primes. And the message included the coordinates of where they fought the Quintesson, the enemy who attacked Cybertron more than 50 cycles ago. Orion thought the matrix of leadership might be there. He then asked B how to get there. B then said it wouldn't be easy because they had to climb through the garbage chute, so the only way up was through the Energon train. And they decided to sneak into the cargo hold, where they found Elita, who was demoted to a new position. Elita then realized someone had infiltrated, where she quickly tried to tell Darkwing, but she was trapped when the train took off. Orion and the others then went after Elita to tell her about their discovery, but Elita refused to listen. But when they found a way out, they had to survive so as not to fall into the void. For a moment, the four robots were stunned by the beauty of Cybertron's surface. And realizing that Sentinel had hidden some things, Orion then approached Elita by saying that he knew where the matrix of leadership was. He then shows what they found and explains that instead of reporting to Sentinel, they decided to go straight to the coordinates, although Elita refused to help them. Which suddenly they saw the surface of the planet seemed alive and approached them. They then fled, but access to the train was blocked. It forced them to hold on, while the surface seemed to prevent the train from delivering Energon, where the ground lifted and some of the cars came loose and threw them all into the air. After that, they saw the train had gone away. Of course, because of that, Elita was angry and blamed Orion for the situation. Although angry, he finally agreed to guide them to the map coordinates. On the way, Elita asked B to keep quiet because he talked too much, but he did not obey. Meanwhile, Orion and D-16, who followed behind, were very excited because of the possibility that they would find the Matrix and hand it over to the Sentinel. At that time, they found a Cybertronian deer that suddenly ran away. And because of that, they also ran to the abandoned base, where they saw a Quintesson ship flying above and then attacking anything that moved. Luckily, they managed to hide until the ship left. They were confused and thought the Quintesson had been extinct for more than 50 cycles. Then the coordinates took them to a terrible cave, where there they found the bodies of 13 primes buried and destroyed. And the matrix of leadership was not there. They wondered what happened and concluded that the primes had been ambushed. At that moment, a light led Orion to Alpha Trion, the only prime who still had his spark. When activated, Alpha Trion warned of the Quintesson ambush. But they managed to tell him that the war was over. Alpha Trion saw his fallen comrades. He asked who they were and why they had no equipment. D-16 said that they were just miners who were forced to extract Energon, because Energon had been lost since it stopped flowing. When Orion mentioned that they were looking for the Matrix to give to Sentinel, Alpha Trion interrupted him by saying that Sentinel was not Prime. He then showed a scene where Sentinel, the Prime's assistant, had intercepted enemy transmissions about the Quintesson secrets. But when the Primes arrived at the cave to meet Sentinel, they were ambushed by dozens of enemies. Although they fought together and almost won, Sentinel betrayed them by destroying the 13 Primes to take control of Cybertron. At that time, Sentinel took the Matrix of Leadership, but the resource could only be used by someone he deemed worthy. So then the Matrix disappeared before his own eyes. Alpha Trion explained that it was all to make a deal with Quintesson. They then witnessed more Quintesson ships flying over the planet. They also saw Sentinel coming with reinforcements, only to kneel before their enemies. Quintesson then took the contaminated metal that Elita transported every day. But they soon realized that Quintesson was actually taking their Energon. D-16 couldn't hold back after knowing that Sentinel was a traitor. But Orion was able to stop him, and it turned out that Sentinel did not comply with the Energon requested by Quintesson. Sentinel then explained that they were running out of miners to extract the mineral, and promised to find more. After the meeting, both parties retreated, and the heroes witnessed the truth that Sentinel was a traitor. D-16 then blamed Orion for pulling them out of ignorance to face the heartbreaking reality. He was afraid of what the Sentinels would do if they found out about his betrayal. He then reminded Orion that they were robots without gears and could not transform. Alpha Trion then said that no one on Cybertron was born without gears. But Alpha Trion assured them that the essence of Transformers did not lie in gears, but in their core spark that fueled the desire to make the world a better place. Where his fellow Primes had that spark, and Alpha Trion saw it in them. With this, Alpha Trion then took the gears from the 4 fallen Primes, and he then gave them to them to make them true Transformers united as one. He not only gave them the ability to transform, but also the power to change the world. However, this epic moment had to be interrupted when a small vibration warned them that they had been discovered. D16 said that he was ready to fight, but Alpha Trion told them that they had to return to Cybertron, and warned everyone about the terrible truth using the notes he had made. Not long after, the Sentinel Force collapsed part of the cave and demanded that Alpha Trion surrender. But Alpha Trion immediately attacked them brutally. Meanwhile, Arachnid chased Orion and the others. Here they realized that they could transform, so they didn't need to run anymore. But when they tried to do it, and because the road was steep, they fell down the slope. They continued to be chased, and they still needed to maximize their equipment. However, when they were about to be caught, their scientific instincts emerged. And with the right timing, they were finally able to transform. They finally did what they had always dreamed of. Orion then remembered their mission and took out a map. But D16 immediately took it. He then told everyone to follow him. Meanwhile, we see Alpha Trion brought before Sentinel. Sentinel warmly welcomes him. He then says that he sees an opportunity to take his own future and stop working for a group that will lose the war. Sentinel then asks who else is in the cave with him, and Alpha Trion reminds him that it is only a matter of time before Sentinel loses, because the new Prime will rise. After killing Alpha Trion, Sentinel then orders Arachnid to hunt down the others. Meanwhile, Orion and the others are getting closer to their goal, which D16 says that he can't stop thinking about Sentinel's betrayal. He will never trust any leader again. Which at that time, suddenly they were ambushed, which made them unconscious. When they woke up, they had been surrounded by a group of Transformers and taken to their hideout. But they realized that the Transformers were not the Sentinel troops, but they were all Transformers who would become Decepticons in the future. Their leader, named Starscream, then asked if they were spies, but Orion denied it. When these Transformers explained that they were enemies of Sentinel, that's when B freed himself. He then revealed that they were the legendary defenders of Iacon. Starscream then explained that at that time, they were Cybertron's elite guards and first-hand witnesses of Sentinel's betrayal. D16 then stated that he was determined to pursue Sentinel alone to avenge his betrayal. But Starscream was annoyed by his courage. He then warned him that no one could leave without his permission. But instead of retreating, D16 he responded with a direct attack, marking the beginning of a fierce confrontation between them. The fight between them was very intense. And right when the battle, a powerful cannon emerged from D16's arm, silencing Starscream. While Starscream was forced to beg for his life. That's when Orion realized his best friend had crossed the line into something much darker and more dangerous. Suddenly, the alarm sounded, indicating the Sentinel troops were coming to ambush them. Without wasting time, Orion and B immediately attacked the battlefield, and they defeated as many enemies as possible. Meanwhile, the cowardly Starscream just hid. However, Arachnid, with his deadly skills, he also joined the fight. He easily killed many fighters, then he quickly took D16 away. Meanwhile, Alita fought gracefully and skillfully. But because of lack of attention, Alita was almost hit by an attack. But fortunately, Orion was able to save her. Afterwards, Alita then told Orion that Sentinel's minions had captured the others, and where the important evidence they needed had been destroyed. Orion thought that the ignorance they experienced was better than the chaos caused by trying to free everyone from lies. He believed that he should have obeyed the protocol, but Alita reminded him that even though he was superior to her in many ways, what set him apart among them was his optimism. Afterwards, they then made a plan to infiltrate Iacon to rescue D16 and the others, with the remaining troops there. Although the soldiers were hesitant because they needed more reinforcements and a way in. But Orion and Alita already had a plan for that, and they just needed to move. Meanwhile, B does not know why they are still alive. Sentinel then appears and insults D16's sad story, which then D16 reminds him that the real traitor is Sentinel. Sentinel angrily then says that he plans to blame them for sabotaging his expedition with the Quintesson, to prevent him from finding the matrix of leadership. According to him in Iacon, the truth is whatever he says. D16 then stands up and is not afraid because he has lost everything. Sentinel then tears off Megatronus Prime's symbol and mocks his admiration for the 13 Primes. As punishment, Sentinel then brands Megatronus's image on D16's chest. At the same time, Orion gathers his new army of miners who are tired of hard labor. Darkwing also sees the improvement in Orion. Orion then reveals the truth about Sentinel, who has stolen their equipment to turn them into miners. Orion then offers them the chance to join his cause against Sentinel. Orion is finally able to convince them that they can forge their own destiny fighting for justice as one Transformer. Orion then tells Alita that it's time to act. Meanwhile, D-16 is about to be eliminated, but the Energon train is speeding towards it. Arachnid, who sees the approaching Energon train, orders to protect Sentinel. The Sentinel troops move forward to fight, but Alita realizes that they will not be able to reach the main building alone. That's when the miner troops led by Orion come to attack. In the midst of an intense fight, Arachnid corners Orion on the train, but he is forced to flee because they are about to crash. Meanwhile, Sentinel is hit by an explosion and the entire Acon witnesses the chaos. D-16 then quickly asked Orion to help. Meanwhile, B, who was excited with his sword, then joined the battle. When Orion asked about Sentinel, suddenly an explosion threw him and D-16 into his environment. Everyone prepared to face Sentinel and give justice. Orion then asked them to retreat first. Orion explained that they needed Arachnid's memory. But suddenly, Arachnid appeared, taking Alita away. Orion then told Alita to bring Arachnid alive to the transmission station. And in a brutal fight between the two, Alita promised to beat him carefully. Orion and B then sped off at full speed to find Alita. Meanwhile, D-16 will face Sentinel. Here B, who was happy to have a sword that was so overpowered, he unknowingly destroyed the transmission station. Orion then took the opportunity to spread Sentinel's true face throughout the corners of Iacon. All of Iacon saw their leader lying in front of Quintesson. Of course, the Transformers became angry, and on that occasion, D-16 then attacked Sentinel until they both fell. Sentinel then tried to persuade him to organize Cybertron together. But when D-16 was about to finish him off, Orion came in and reminded him that they had achieved their goal. Orion said that the truth was known to everyone. However, D-16 wanted Sentinel to die. He threatened to hurt Orion if he didn't get out of the way. Although D-16 managed to get rid of Orion, when he shot Sentinel, who injured Orion again, blocked his shot by sacrificing himself. D-16 then prevented Orion from falling, but frustration took over him. He was possessed by hatred where his eyes were now red. He then stated that he was tired of everything. He then let Orion fall into the abyss. Then in a panic, D-16 attacked Sentinel until he was killed blindly. Meanwhile, Orion fell into Prime's heart. And after destroying Sentinel, D-16 then tore Megatronus's equipment and ended the Prime era. Meanwhile, Orion was rewarded with the Matrix of Leadership for his brave sacrifice. And when D-16 replaced his gears with Megatronus's, on the other hand, Orion activated the Matrix, which lit up and regenerated his arm. D-16 then called himself Megatron, and the 13 Primes welcomed the rebirth of Optimus Prime. Orion, namely Optimus Prime, then returned to Iacon. Meanwhile, Alita and B tried to stop the uncontrollable Megatron. And suddenly, Optimus Prime appeared, surprising everyone. Megatron did not believe Orion had the Matrix and was appointed Prime. Optimus then offered to rebuild the future together, but Megatron refused. He even intended to destroy Iacon. The two friends then faced each other in an epic Transformers battle. Where the battle between the two was so fierce, but to the point where Megatron had to accept defeat from Optimus Prime. After defeating Megatron, Optimus reminded him that they had a chance to change the world, but Megatron instead chose to destroy him, just like Sentinel did. Megatron, who was branded as a traitor to Cybertron, Optimus then told Megatron and his minions to leave Iacon, and he exiled him from Iacon. But before leaving, Megatron warned that this fight was not over. Cybertron is now ready for a new beginning under Optimus's leadership. The Matrix of Leadership then restored the planet's energon flow, and all robots can now transform again to face their destiny together, to change into something better, because freedom and autonomy are basic rights for living beings. They were then given new teeth, and it was stated that everyone is now an Autobots, sending a message to their enemies. If they decide to return, all Transformers and Optimus Prime will be ready and waiting. Meanwhile, Megatron gives his men a new emblem and claims that they are now Decepticons, a new enemy for the Autobots and Optimus Prime. In Cybertron, during a battle against the Decepticons, the Autobots decided to flee to a safe haven because Cybertron had been taken over by the Decepticons. In an effort to survive, their leader, Optimus Prime, then ordered B-127 to go to Earth and establish a base for the Autobots there. Meanwhile, Optimus and the other Autobots would travel to another galaxy to seek allies, after which they would follow B-127 to Earth. However, Optimus also ordered B-127 to protect Earth from the Decepticons, because if the Decepticons found out about them, they would all perish. B-127 then immediately left Cybertron to carry out his mission. The scene shifts to Earth, showing a group of military personnel conducting exercises. This group of military personnel was then startled by the arrival of an object resembling an asteroid. Upon hitting the ground, the object caused a large explosion that sent the soldiers flying and injured them. Their leader, Jack, then contacted the base to immediately request medical assistance. Meanwhile, the agent at the base asked what had happened to them. It was then that B-127 awoke and fled upon seeing several military vehicles approaching. B-127 then transformed into a jeep to escape while being pursued by the military. Unfortunately, B-127 was hit by gunfire from the military, which damaged his core systems. He continued to flee into the forest, but his escape was once again surrounded by the military. He then tried to explain that he didn't want to hurt anyone. Not long after, a fighter jet dropped several shots towards them, resulting in the gruesome deaths of several soldiers. It turned out that the fighter jet was a Decepticon trying to pursue B-127 to find out where the other Autobots were hiding. However, B-127 refused to reveal the location of the Autobots, leading to a fierce battle between the two. During the fight, B-127 was struck in the neck, which deactivated his vocal system. B-127 was then thrown off a cliff, leaving him helpless. But just as he was about to be destroyed, he managed to defeat his opponent. However, as a result of the attack, his memory cells were damaged, and he wandered aimlessly towards the beach. Before his systems completely shut down, B-127 saw a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, and he transformed one last time. Then we shift to a 17-year-old girl named Charlie, who could never forget the death of her father. On her birthday, Charlie asked her mother for $500 to buy missing parts for her car. But her mother said she didn't have that much money, and then asked her to take her younger brother to karate before she went to work. After dropping off her brother, Charlie then worked as a waitress at a food tent in the city's amusement park. While carrying several glasses of drinks on a tray to deliver, a small incident occurred that caused her to spill all the drinks on a young man. Charlie seemed to have had a crush on this young man for a long time, and she felt very embarrassed by what had happened. After work, Charlie went to her Uncle Hank's junkyard, hoping to find some used parts. While searching for parts there, she found an old yellow Volkswagen Beetle and tried to start it. The vehicle then began transmitting a signal that reached an Autobot named Cliffjumper, just as he was attacked by two Decepticons named Shatter and Dropkick. Eventually, Shatter managed to discover B-127's location on Earth. And because Cliffjumper refused to reveal Optimus Prime's location, he was brutally beaten to death by Dropkick. Meanwhile, after selecting some parts, Charlie went to pay for them and returned home. Charlie then spent time repairing her car, but after working on it, the vehicle seemed to no longer function. Feeling frustrated, Charlie went to sleep, but then she seemed uncomfortable seeing her mother happily with her new husband, as if her mother could easily forget her late father. The next day, when she woke up, Charlie turned 18. She received a gift from her mother that made Charlie seem very happy, but she was disappointed when she found out that what was in the bag was a flower-patterned helmet to protect her while riding her motorcycle. Then her stepfather gave her a self-help book about the power of a smile. That day, Charlie then asked Uncle Hank for the yellow Volkswagen Beetle as a birthday present. But in return, she offered to work for a year at her uncle's shop. However, Uncle Hank instead gave her the car for free as a birthday gift. After several hours of work, Charlie finally managed to start the old Volkswagen. Then she drove it home. When she arrived at her garage, Charlie realized something was wrong with the vehicle, and she rushed to fix it. Suddenly, the car transformed and hid in the corner of the garage, and it turned out to be B127. Afterwards, Charlie realized the creature seemed scared and wasn't dangerous. Just then, her mother entered the garage, but the robot had already transformed back into a car. When her mother left, Charlie tried to communicate with the robot, and eventually she gained the robot's trust. Charlie realized that the robot could understand her, but couldn't answer her questions because, as we know, his vocal system was not functioning. After introducing herself, Charlie asked the robot what its name was. But apparently the robot had lost its memory, so Charlie decided to call him Bumblebee. Meanwhile, in another part of America, a couple was discussing the end of their relationship. Just then, they saw a meteor approaching, and the husband thought it would hit his car. But fortunately, the meteor hit a truck traveling down the road. The wife was disappointed because her husband cared more about the car than her. Then, when a second meteor appeared from the sky, it directly hit their car. The couple then tried to figure out what was happening until two cars emerged from the explosion and then transformed into deadly machines. And it turned out to be Dropkick and Shatter. Dropkick then killed the husband like an ant, and then they left to search for B127. The next morning after waking up, Charlie went to the garage. To her surprise, Bumblebee wasn't there. Charlie immediately went to her younger brother to ask him. Otis then told her that their mother had driven the car to take their dog to the vet. After hearing this, Charlie took her bicycle to catch up with her mother. Her new neighbor, Memo, tried to talk to her, but Charlie ignored him. When Bumblebee saw Charlie, he waved at her, which made the dog bark. Charlie, afraid that her mother would find out, then sped up her bicycle. She then asked her mother to stop the car, and Charlie offered to take their dog to the vet. Charlie takes Bumblebee to the beach to teach him how to hide. She stresses that he can't just show his robot form to people because it's dangerous, and he needs to stay a regular car when others are around. Meanwhile, after detecting new alien signals, the military is tasked with finding them. Dr. Powell, a scientist, is excited about making direct contact with the alien species. The soldiers then aim their weapons at Shatter and Dropkick, and Agent Jack asks why they've come to Earth. Shatter explains that a criminal who escaped from Cybertron is hiding on Earth, so they need human help to find him. Otherwise, the entire species will be in danger. Jack immediately refuses to help them, but Dr. Powell asks the two aliens to follow them to speak with their superiors. While walking through the woods, Charlie offers to fix Bumblebee's voice system. Accidentally, the repair plays a message sent to him by Optimus Prime. Hearing his leader's message, Bumblebee finally remembers the day he left Cybertron. But before he can hear the full message, the hologram disappears. Charlie asks him some questions, and Bumblebee tries to use the radio to communicate, but it's broken. When Charlie tries to fix it, Bumblebee accidentally plays an old recording of Charlie's last diving competition. Seeing the video, Charlie was upset, but she tries to hold it in because she knows Bumblebee played it by mistake. Afterwards, Charlie fixes her radio. Bumblebee enjoys hearing the music from Charlie's recording, but it reminds Charlie of her father. Charlie shares that she used to listen to that music with her dad when they worked on their Corvette. But her father passed away on the day of her last diving competition, and since then, Charlie hasn't been near a swimming pool. Charlie never even got to say goodbye to her father, which is why it's so important for her to fix the Corvette, to keep his memory alive. Meanwhile, Memo hears the music and decides to talk to Charlie. But when he enters the garage, Memo is terrified to see a robot monster right in front of him. Charlie tries to calm him down and makes Memo promise to keep what he saw a secret. Charlie then introduces Bumblebee to Memo. The next day, they go for a drive. Meanwhile, after meeting with the highest military leader in the country, Dr. Powell manages to convince the military to help the aliens find their fugitive. Although Agent Jack opposes the idea, the military leader agrees with Dr. Powell. The army then gives the Decepticons unlimited access to their satellites. While driving through town, Bee finally figures out how to communicate using music from various radio stations. After a while, they come across a party being held by Charlie's high school friends. Getting out of the car, Charlie sees her crush daring someone to jump into the ocean with him. When the guy sees Charlie, he remembers that she was the diving competition champion a few years ago. After he dares Charlie to jump off the cliff with him, Charlie feels challenged to jump. But when faced with the height, Charlie immediately backs down because she's still traumatized by what happened on the day of her last dive. Charlie returns to her car, and Tina, the bully, doesn't miss the opportunity to embarrass Charlie. She says that Charlie wasted her only chance to get attention, and even tells Charlie to ask her dad to buy her a new car because hers is so ugly. Tina says this even though she knows Charlie's father is gone, which makes Charlie angry. Memo then suggests Charlie get revenge on Tina. That night, they go to Tina's house to egg her car. But Bumblebee does something much worse. He completely destroys Tina's car. Suddenly, the alarm goes off, forcing them to flee. When Tina comes outside, she's shocked to see her car wrecked. While driving home speeding, the police start chasing them, but Bumblebee just speeds up. When the police manage to catch up, Bumblebee hides Memo and Charlie, making the police officer surprised to see a car driving itself. The officer calls for backup, and Bumblebee speeds off again, leaving the police behind. Arriving home, Charlie and Memo say goodbye, and Charlie also says goodnight to Bee before going to bed. One day before going to work, Charlie tells Bee to stay in the garage until she returns. Later, their dog walks into the garage and sees the car transform into a giant robot, and the dog runs back into the house. Curious, Bee follows, breaking down the door to get inside. Being so large, Bumblebee ends up damaging the furniture in the house. Elsewhere, the military detects a police call reporting an unmanned vehicle heading towards Francisco. Agent Jack and the Decepticons rush to the location. Meanwhile, Memo, about to leave his house, hears a loud noise from Charlie's house and tells Charlie to come home immediately. When Charlie arrives, she's shocked to find her entire house in disarray. Feeling guilty about what he did, Bumblebee hides behind the couch. But Charlie tells him to go back to the garage while she thinks about what to do about the mess. While Charlie is trying to clean up, her mother comes home and says she's tired of Charlie's behavior. Her mother even says angrily that Charlie is the only one in the family who can't accept her father's passing. Charlie is disappointed to hear what her mother said. Confused by everything happening in her life, Charlie leaves aimlessly with Bumblebee and Memo. But on the way, they are stopped by armed military personnel, and Agent Jack orders them out of the car. They are then arrested, while Bumblebee immediately transforms upon seeing Charlie needing help. After capturing Charlie, Bumblebee immediately escapes. The military quickly pursues him, but he's soon attacked by the Decepticons. Because Bumblebee has amnesia, he doesn't fight back when the Decepticons beat him to find out Optimus Prime's location. The soldiers then use electric prods to subdue him. Charlie faints while trying to help Bumblebee. When she wakes up, Charlie is back home. Agent Jack, in the living room, tells her she stole government property. Charlie tries to explain, but her mother ignores her. Charlie then decides to ask Memo for help. Otis catches her, but luckily Charlie convinces her brother to stay home so their mother won't know she's running away. Charlie rides her motorcycle to where Bumblebee is being held. Meanwhile, Bumblebee is brutally attacked by the Decepticons to reveal the other Autobots' location. But Bumblebee still doesn't remember anything about his past. Hearing the Decepticons' conversation, Dr. Powell realizes that helping them was a bad idea because the Decepticons plan to destroy Earth. He tries to tell Agent Jack this, but the Decepticons kill him before he can deliver his message. Meanwhile, while cleaning up the mess at home, Charlie's mother looks for her. Charlie's brother tries to stop their mother, but instead makes her realize that Charlie has run away. Their mother then forces Otis to say where Charlie went. Elsewhere, Shatter and Dropkick plan to call for reinforcements from Megatron, and after eliminating Bumblebee, they head to the nearest tower to send the message. As soon as the Decepticons leave, Charlie runs to the helpless Bumblebee. Charlie then uses the stun gun to revive Bumblebee. After shooting him several times, Bumblebee finally comes back online, and his memories are restored. Moments later, Agent Jack arrives at the scene. But because the door is locked, Agent Jack blows it open, causing Charlie and Memo to be caught in the blast. Jack orders his men to get Charlie and Memo out, as he's going to destroy Bumblebee. Bumblebee is about to give up, But seeing Charlie needing help makes him angry. His anger makes Bumblebee indiscriminately attack everyone, including Agent Jack. Bumblebee stops shooting when he hears Charlie telling him to stop. Memo has a hand injury, and Charlie says they need to escape immediately. However, Bumblebee decides to chase the Decepticons to destroy them, because if he doesn't, it could be the end of the Autobots and Earth. Memo tells Charlie and Bumblebee to go, while he will distract the incoming military. But he clearly fails to divert the soldiers. During the escape, Charlie is surprised to find her entire family following her to help. Charlie asks her mother to trust her just this once, and her stepfather, understanding the situation, decides to use his car to block the military from approaching Charlie. Meanwhile, the Decepticons have prepared a message transmission to send to Megatron on Cybertron. Then, Bumblebee tells Charlie to stay hidden inside a dumpster for safety. B then attacks the facility so the Decepticons can't establish a connection to Cybertron. But while trying to stop them, Dropkick directly attacks Bumblebee hard. One shot hits Charlie's hiding place, so Charlie is forced to find another hiding spot while thinking of a way to help Bumblebee. She runs across the battlefield to reach the stairs and starts climbing the tower. Meanwhile, Bumblebee is still in an intense battle with Dropkick. Not long after, Agent Jack appears and attacks Shatter. Meanwhile, using a chain, Bumblebee finally manages to easily take down Dropkick. When Bumblebee is about to attack Shatter, Jack's helicopter is hit and almost crashes. But luckily, Bumblebee manages to safely land the helicopter, sacrificing his own body in the process. Shatter then realizes that Charlie is trying to destroy the tower's power source. Shatter tries to kill her, but she is shot by Bumblebee, causing her to fall. This leads to a fierce battle between the two. Meanwhile, Charlie finally manages to destroy the power source and stop the transmission process. As Bumblebee is about to be executed by Shatter, Bumblebee decides to take a risk by destroying the water dam. He does this to ensure that if he dies, at least he has saved planet Earth from the Decepticons. Bumblebee sinks to the bottom of the water, and Charlie, not wanting to lose him, overcomes her greatest fear to save Bumblebee. Eventually, Charlie manages to revive Bumblebee. Moments later, they both surface and are greeted by Agent Jack. As a sign of gratitude for being saved by Bumblebee, Jack tells them both to escape before other soldiers arrive. Shortly after the intense battle, Charlie takes Bumblebee to the Golden Gate Bridge to say goodbye. From now on, they each have their own mission to fulfill. As he's about to leave, Bumblebee transforms into a Camaro to continue his journey without being identified by the military. Bumblebee then drives off with Optimus Prime. Meanwhile, Charlie goes home, where she is happy to find her family and Memo waiting for her. Several days later, Charlie finally manages to fix her father's Corvette again, fulfilling her dream of driving her car on the open road. Meanwhile, Optimus Prime thanks Bumblebee, because thanks to him, they now have a future. On an Autobot planet, a Maximal leader ape named Applink was defending a time portal key from his enemies. Luckily, at the right moment, another Maximal named Optimus Primal appeared, saving him from a Scorpion's attack. Soon, other Maximals gathered. Applink then gave the key to Primal, instructing him to quickly bring it to Optimus. The adversary they were about to face was a terrifying entity named Unicron, a cosmic or cruel robot god of the universe. Unicron would consume planets to satisfy his hunger. His target this time was the Maximal warriors who held the time portal key, which had the ability to transport anything anywhere in the universe. If Unicron succeeded in obtaining it, the entire universe would face destruction. For this reason, the Maximal leader had to risk his life to hold back Scourge, Unicron's right-hand man. Scourge was known as a brutal hunter due to his immense strength and powerful weaponry. Despite fighting valiantly, Applink couldn't defeat him. Meanwhile, the remaining Maximal warriors fled with the key towards Earth. After their leader was killed, the Maximal planet was devoured by Unicron. Since Scourge failed to retrieve the key, Unicron ordered him to get it by any means necessary. Meanwhile, on Earth in 1994, we are introduced to Noah, a former military electronics specialist. However, he struggled to find work after retirement. His younger brother was seriously ill and required a large sum of money for his treatment. The scene then shifts to a museum, where Elena is captivated by an ancient eagle statue with numerous ancient motifs carved around it. Meanwhile, Noah went for a job interview but unfortunately received a rejection. Out of frustration, Noah listened to bad advice from a friend to steal a luxury car to get money. When no one was paying attention, Noah entered a room full of luxurious cars. He was quickly drawn to a cool Porsche. On the other hand, Elena, who was examining the statue, found something unusual about it. The carvings on the statue were unlike any relic she knew, suggesting that this statue might be extraterrestrial. Suddenly, the statue shattered, emitting a powerful energy flash. It turned out to be the space-time portal key. Optimus, seeing this, immediately called the Autobots. Meanwhile, Noah had no idea he was sitting inside an Autobot named Mirage. A guard, seeing him, pointed a weapon at Noah. However, Mirage suddenly activated and sped out of the basement. The police then chased Noah for stealing the car. Mirage transformed several times in a cool manner, even duplicating himself to trick the pursuing police. This, of course, made Noah even more confused.
Oh, nah!
Briefly, after escaping the police chase, they entered an abandoned warehouse. Noah was then taken out of the car, and Mirage transformed into an Autobot. In his panic, Noah tried to fight Mirage with a piece of metal for self-protection. Eventually, Optimus and the other Autobots arrived to confirm that Noah wasn't a spy. RC quickly scanned Noah to ensure he wasn't dangerous. Optimus then stated that they would retrieve the space-time portal key to return to Cybertron. Mirage then suggested they ask Noah for help to sneak into the museum to retrieve the key. In return, they promised to help Noah get a lot of money, and Noah finally agreed to cooperate. Elsewhere, strange stars fell from the sky, which turned out to be Scourge and his minions realizing the key's signal. Meanwhile, Mirage transformed into a garbage truck to help Noah enter the museum. Inside the museum, as the lights suddenly went out, Elena was working. She quickly rushed to pack her things and grabbed the key. As she was about to leave, she met Noah, which frightened her, causing Elena to accidentally drop the key. Noah tried to convince Elena that the item she held belonged to aliens. However, Elena thought Noah was a thief and hit him. Suddenly, an explosion shattered the wall, throwing both of them backward. Scourge then launched an attack and ordered his minions, the Terracons, to seize the key from Elena. It was then that the Autobots and Optimus appeared. Optimus ordered the Autobots to secure the key while he would fight Scourge. A fierce battle ensued. However, Optimus seemed overwhelmed by the very strong Scourge. B then nimbly ran while shooting the Terracons. Meanwhile, Mirage fired continuously and attacked a Terracon that transformed into a plane. Inside the museum, Elena and Noah continued to run to get out, witnessing an intense battle between giant robots. Optimus and the Autobots continued to risk their lives to stop Scourge and his minions from seizing the key. Eventually, Scourge managed to escape, but the Autobots didn't give up easily. RC continued to attack a Terracon, trying to attack Noah and Elena. Eventually, a powerful shockwave hit the key, causing it to fall. Finally, the key was obtained by the Terracon. Seeing this, Scourge immediately launched a series of dangerous attacks on Optimus to end the fight. But then B rushed to stop Scourge. However, Optimus, knowing that B was no match for Scourge, rushed to help him. B, intending to save Optimus, then jumped and used Optimus's axe to attack Scourge, but Scourge managed to stab him. Not only that, he also used his weapon to finish off B. Optimus seemed helpless seeing B fall. And as the battle seemed to end tragically, Arizor suddenly unleashed a hellish fire blast that managed to block Scourge's advance and forced him to retreat. They then took Noah and Elena to safety. Arizor then revealed the truth. Scourge only managed to get half of the time portal key. Apparently, Arizor and the other Maximals had divided it into two parts for concealment. The location of the other key fragment was hidden in an untouched forest area in Peru. If Scourge was not stopped, the entire universe would be destroyed. Thus, the Autobots, along with Noah and Elena, would go to Peru to secure the other part of the key, as Noah also wanted to contribute to protecting Earth from destruction. Elsewhere, Scourge presented the portal key to his master. But unexpectedly, Unicron then gripped Scourge, causing him pain, as we knew the key was only partial. Unicron then ordered Scourge to find the remaining key fragment. The next morning, full of anticipation, they all waited for a luxurious jet. Unexpectedly, the plane that came for them was Stratosphere. A slightly disappointed Mirage joked, saying he'd rather walk to Peru than go with him. Long story short, their plane landed safely in Peru. Before their mission, Mirage gave Noah a weapon for precaution and self-defense. From a distance, the Terracons continued to monitor them. Thanks to Elena's guidance, they finally found the hidden ancient ruins. When they rotated a stone with a maximal symbol, they managed to activate a mechanism to open a tunnel leading underground. Inside, they found a stone chest, but it was empty. Elena, seeing mysterious symbols, wrote them on her hand. But before she could decipher them, Scourge's minions arrived and tried to attack them. Both Noah and Elena quickly fled for safety. Meanwhile, upon hearing the shouts, Optimus and the Autobots began to move to rescue them. However, they were once again blocked by a group of Terracons. Fortunately, Noah managed to activate the weapon in his hand and destroyed Scourge's minion. Outside, Optimus brutally shot his enemies. However, Scourge managed to knock Optimus down and quickly descended the mountain. The two fought fiercely. Meanwhile, Mirage and the others also fought against the Terracons. RC continuously shot at the Terracons, but the enemies also attacked them fiercely and launched rockets towards them. Despite managing to dodge one rocket, RC was unfortunately still hit and rushed down the mountain. From the sky, Arizor breathed hellfire to block the path of the Terracon group. Arizor's timely assistance finally saved the Autobots. But unfortunately, Scourge managed to shoot a strange object at Arizor, causing one of Arizor's wings to be damaged. Optimus and the others then approached Noah and Elena, who were in the jungle surrounded by a group of Maximals. However, they faced a slight conflict with the Maximals, who suspected them of being enemies. Fortunately, Arizor arrived just in time and informed them that the Autobots and the two humans were on their side. After learning that the Autobots were with Optimus Prime, Primal, the leader, apologized for the misunderstanding and then led the Autobot forces deep into the jungle. There, they met an indigenous tribe who had steadfastly coexisted with the Maximals for generations. The tribal chief quickly produced the other half of the key to give to them. However, Primal seemed displeased that Optimus held the key. But Arizor then assured him that Optimus was a reliable leader. The next morning, after waking up, Elena decided to take a walk, but she met Arizor in a strange state. It turned out that Arizor was being controlled by Scourge with dark energy. That's when Optimus appeared to stop her, but Primal stopped Optimus just in time. Scourge managed to pull his minions into an ambush in the chaos. Primal then handed the half-key to Noah to keep, where Noah thought of destroying the key, as it was the only way to keep Earth safe. However, he was stopped by Optimus because the key was the only way they could return to Cybertron. Suddenly, Arizor caught Elena, who was holding the key, and took her to Scourge. After getting the key, Scourge then ordered Arizor to attack Primal. Arizor tried her best to spew hellfire at him. A fight broke out between them, and having no other choice, Primal was forced to eliminate Arizor. On the other side, Scourge, who had obtained the key, then united the two parts of the key. He then began to summon the god of destruction, Unicron. From the base of the mountain, a machine appeared. This machine would quickly connect Unicron to Earth. Optimus Prime then apologized to Noah for preventing him from destroying the portal key. Meanwhile, Primal then thought of a way to stop Unicron, which was by entering a backup code to lock the space gate. Fortunately, Elena managed to find the password she had discovered during her investigation. Thus, they finally had a chance to save Earth from Unicron. The Autobots, along with the Maximal group, then launched an attack to attract the enemy's attention. Meanwhile, Elena and Noah would quietly sneak into the portal key through the underground tunnel. The Autobots then stormed from above and decided to fight to the end. This time, Scourge released the Dark Forces to fight. Mirage then rushed to fight Scourge to distract him, so Noah and Elena could stop the portal. A fierce battle between the two ensued. On the other side, Primal and Optimus fought together to defeat the Terrorcons. The enemies were indeed very strong, but they could not defeat the combined strength of the Autobot and Maximal leaders. Both continued to try to eliminate the enemy. However, Noah and Elena's plan to close the space gate was exposed because Mirage was apparently no match for Scourge. Scourge then lifted Noah to finish him off. Fortunately, Mirage managed to save him just in time, but Scourge was a very strong opponent, as seen by how easily he defeated Mirage. Mirage sacrificed himself as a shield to protect Noah. Mirage had to constantly endure Scourge's attacks, which rendered him helpless. And that's when Unicron entered Earth's atmosphere. Black smoke quickly covered the sky, as if signaling the end of the world. But the Autobots were still determined not to let the evil god destroy Earth. However, it seemed it wouldn't be easy. Unicron then released countless monsters onto Earth to destroy it as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mirage, with his last strength, transformed into armor to cover Noah's body. With their unity, Noah immediately faced Scourge, and a duel between Noah and Scourge ensued. In the middle of their somewhat intense fight, Optimus then joined Noah. Noah and Optimus then worked together to launch an attack on Scourge. His courage to save Earth made Noah unafraid to fight Scourge. Meanwhile, Elena also seemed to be in a very dangerous situation. She had to face small robots that kept trying to chase her, but fortunately, she managed to escape death. At the same time, the key began to activate and spread energy throughout Earth, filling Earth with abundant energon. And that energon then regenerated and revived Bee. Meanwhile, the battle between Optimus and Scourge seemed so intense. However, Optimus and Noah seemed cornered by the powerful Scourge, until Bee came to help them. Bee then brutally shot the enemies indiscriminately, his actions successfully freeing Optimus and Noah. Scourge's minion then attacked Bee in the air, but at the right moment Bee grabbed him and used him as a shield. Bee then easily finished him off in the air just before he landed. With Bee's return, the battle now turned slightly in their favor. Optimus then ordered the Autobots and Maximals to protect Elena with all their might in various ways. Bee, Noah, and the Maximals then tried to eliminate the enemies. Meanwhile, Elena was about to enter the password to stop it. But countless Scorpion robots fell from the sky, making it difficult for the Autobots. Bee quickly tried to deal with the Terrorcons. Meanwhile, Noah glided across the bridge to fight the monsters again. While Primal dealt with the Scorpions, and even though they were outnumbered, the Autobots and Maximals were able to fight fiercely. In the brutal and intense battle, Rhinox and Cheater rushed to join. Meanwhile, on the other side, Optimus exerted all his strength to attack Scourge with deadly blows. Optimus then pushed Scourge into the lava. But when Elena almost stopped the panel, Scourge shot her, sending her flying. Seeing this, Optimus immediately severed both of Scourge's arms and finished him off. However, the control panel was damaged, so they couldn't stop Unicron's emergence. Optimus had no other choice but to order the Autobots and Maximals to retreat. Bee said little and quickly retreated, but Optimus would sacrifice himself by staying to destroy the space gate. Unicron seemed to panic and tried to negotiate with Optimus, promising to give him everything he wanted. But Optimus refused by destroying the portal key. Although he managed to collapse it, the gravitational force was too great for Optimus to remain standing firm. Fortunately, Noah didn't leave him and managed to hold him back from being sucked in. However, his small body still didn't help much. Then Primal appeared, saving Optimus from Unicron's hungry mouth. Optimus then transformed into a truck and sped away with Noah from the place. Now, thanks to all their hard work, Earth was finally saved from disaster. Although the god of destruction, Unicron, was not dead and would return one day, the Autobots and Maximals would unite to defeat him. In short, Elena was invited to a TV station for discovering historical relics and an unknown indigenous tribe. Meanwhile, Noah was finally offered a job by the government, which also guaranteed lifetime medical treatment for his brother, because Noah had contributed so much to saving the world. The story tells of a powerful cube that has existed since the creation of the universe. This cube was capable of creating a world and filling it with life. One day, a party exploited the cube's power for evil. This eventually triggered a great war that destroyed the cube's home planet, sending the cube hurtling far into space. It was eventually discovered to have fallen to Earth. Tens of thousands of years later, at an American airbase located in Qatar, a group of soldiers led by Lieutenant Colonel William Lennox had just arrived for duty. A short while later, the control tower detected the approach of an unknown helicopter. They then dispatched 2 fighter jets to escort the helicopter and force it to land at the military base. Elsewhere, William called his wife to inform her that he had safely arrived in Qatar. That night, as the unknown helicopter landed and was surrounded by many troops, something strange suddenly happened. The helicopter then transformed into a terrifying robot and began to rampage. The robot fired its weapons in all directions, then was seen grabbing an object from the command center. It turned out the robot was attempting to download secret files belonging to the American military. The vigilant soldiers there took the initiative to cut the connection cable so the robot couldn't continue its action. One of William's subordinate soldiers managed to record the robot's shooting spree. From inside the robot's body, a smaller robot emerged and burrowed into the ground. The helicopter robot continued to rampage, killing everyone and destroying all the aircraft at the base. Meanwhile, at Marshall High School in Los Angeles, in a classroom, a student named Sam Witwicky was presenting his research on tracing the footsteps of his own great-grandfather, an explorer named Archibald Witwicky. Sam displayed his great-grandfather's old belongings. Besides the presentation, Sam was also selling these items on eBay, including his great-grandfather's broken glasses. Sam also showed news of his great-grandfather drawing strange symbols and babbling about giant icemen, which led to him being admitted to a mental hospital. After the presentation, Sam was driven by his father to buy a used car as a reward for his academic achievements. Upon arriving at the used car dealership, Sam was initially uninterested in the cars there until he saw a yellow Chevrolet Camaro with racing stripes. However, the seller was asking a very high price for the car, which Sam's father couldn't afford. But then something strange happened. The windows of the other used cars suddenly shattered. The seller was thus forced to sell the Camaro, the only car left, to Sam. Inside the Pentagon, U.S. Secretary of Defense John Keller gathered all telematics and military experts from across the country because of a recent deadly attack at the American military base in Qatar, which killed many American soldiers. The purpose of the attack was known to be to hack into the American military network. However, the action was thwarted, but John predicted that another attack would occur. For now, the American military does not know who attacked them. The only clue at the moment is the sonic waves emitted when the enemy tried to hack the military network system. John needed the help of everyone there to work hard to find out who their enemy was and what they were after. Meanwhile, at his home, Sam checked his eBay to see if anyone had bid on his great-grandfather's broken glasses, but there were none yet. Sam then went for a drive in his Camaro. Shifting to the Middle East, it turned out that some people led by Colonel William had survived the previous attack on the Qatar military base. But as they were resting, without their knowledge, the sand near them was seen moving. Back to Sam's location, he and his friend were now going to the lake to hang out. He saw his crush, Michaela, and her boyfriend were also there. Upon arriving, Sam was immediately bullied by Michaela's boyfriend. Michaela, feeling sorry, then broke up the fight. Michaela invited her boyfriend to leave, and she intended to drive her boyfriend's car, but her boyfriend wouldn't allow it because his car was expensive, and he didn't want Michaela to damage it. Michaela then became annoyed and decided to walk away. Sam, seeing this opportunity, told his friend to get out of his car and then approached Michaela, who was walking alone. Michaela, having no other choice, finally agreed to be driven by Sam. But halfway, Sam's car suddenly broke down. Michaela then opened the hood of the car to try and fix it. Michaela was surprised to see that Sam's car engine was incredibly sophisticated. After tinkering with it, the car started again. Sam then continued to drive Michaela home to her doorstep. The next day in the Pentagon, the team previously formed by the Secretary of Defense was busy identifying the mysterious signal they had received earlier. Meanwhile, inside Air Force One, a radio was seen transforming into a robot. The robot then infiltrated the data center room on the plane. The robot tried to download files belonging to the American military. A team member in the Pentagon named Maggie Madsen detected the hacking attempt and immediately reported it to her superior. The robot downloaded a file while also uploading a virus into the American military network. Inside the Pentagon, military leadership finally ordered a cutoff of the connection with Air Force One. The small robot's action was thwarted. However, the robot managed to view a file referencing the Iceman project carried out by Sam's ancestor, Captain Archibald Witwicky. Due to the chaos, Air Force One was forced to make an emergency landing. After landing, the small robot then entered a strange police car, whose driver did not react. The small robot then searched the internet for clues about Captain Witwicky, which led it to an eBay account selling broken glasses, Sam's account. Meanwhile, inside his house, Sam suddenly woke up because his car was driving itself. He chased it, thinking someone had stolen his car. Sam pursued the car all the way to a junkyard. From a distance, Sam saw his car transform into a robot and send a signal into space. While peeking, Sam was suddenly chased by a dog. Sam ran to escape the dog's pursuit. A few moments later, a police car approached Sam, and officers got out and arrested him. Meanwhile, in the Pentagon, Maggie informed Secretary John of her research findings. She had determined that the technology that previously hacked the American system was highly advanced. No other country in the world possessed such technology. Maggie also concluded that what infiltrated the system was not an ordinary computer, but a computer-based organism. Secretary John was disbelieving and dismissed Maggie, thinking her analysis was far-fetched. Meanwhile, at the police station, Sam's father arrived to bail his son out. In the Middle East, William and his troops finally reached a civilian settlement. However, just as they arrived, they were suddenly attacked by a robot that emerged from the sand. The robot was shaped like a scorpion. William ran into one of the residents' houses to borrow a phone to call for help. Meanwhile, outside, his soldiers fought against the scorpion robot. Meanwhile, the Pentagon received the call and immediately dispatched a reconnaissance plane to investigate what was happening. Secretary John was shocked to see the rampaging scorpion robot. The Pentagon then sent several fighter jets to the location. In short, a few moments later, the arriving fighter jets immediately fired relentlessly at the scorpion robot. The attack managed to incapacitate the scorpion robot, causing it to flee back into the ground, leaving behind its severed tail. That evening, transport helicopters were sent to evacuate the remaining soldiers there. Inside the Pentagon, a disappointed Maggie copied all the data she needed and took it out. Maggie intended to meet a hacker friend who could help her solve this mystery. Maggie arrived at Glenn's house, the hacker in question. Maggie asked Glenn for help researching the data she brought from the Pentagon. Glenn found that the data signal referred to a project called Project Iceman, carried out by Sector 7, in which Sam's ancestor was involved. While Glenn was researching, his house was suddenly raided by FBI agents. The agents then arrested Maggie and Glenn. The next morning, while relaxing at home, Sam was shocked to see his car return. Sam then went outside on his bicycle, and his car, moving on its own, chased him. In a panic, Sam even fell in front of Michaela. After getting back up, Sam continued to flee from his car. Meanwhile, a curious Michaela followed him from behind. Under a bridge, Sam saw a police car, but instead of helping, the car moved strangely back and forth. Suddenly, it transformed into a terrifying robot and threatened Sam. The police robot asked about the broken glasses Sam sold on eBay, as the robot wanted them. Fortunately, Sam managed to escape. As he was about to flee, Sam saw Michaela. Sam then stopped Michaela, causing her to fall. and as the police robot ran toward them, Sam's Chevrolet Camaro came to their rescue from behind. Sam and Michaela then got into the yellow car. A chase ensued on the streets. For a moment, Sam managed to evade the police car, but it wasn't long before their location was discovered, and Sam's Chevrolet transformed and began to fight the terrifying police robot. Meanwhile, Sam and Michaela were chased by a smaller robot. When Sam was cornered, Michaela came with a chainsaw and cut the small robot into pieces. Afterward, Sam returned to his yellow robot, which had successfully defeated the police car robot. Sam then spoke with his yellow robot, which communicated through car radio broadcasts. Sam and Michaela realized that the yellow robot was an alien from the sky. The yellow robot then transformed back into a Chevrolet Camaro and told Sam and Michaela to get in. Meanwhile, the small robot that had attacked Sam earlier was seen changing shape, disguising itself as Sam's cell phone. Along the way, Michaela was curious why this alien chose the form of a rusty old Chevrolet car. Suddenly, the yellow car ejected Sam and Michaela from inside and then left them. It turned out the alien car had scanned a newer model Chevrolet. The car then returned as a brand new Chevrolet Camaro. After that, the car took Sam and Michaela to a certain place. There, they saw 4 meteors fall near them. In a separate location, these meteors turned out to be robots from outer space. The robots scanned nearby vehicles and transformed to resemble them. The alien cars then approached Sam. The cars then transformed into large robots. The largest robot was named Optimus Prime, and he was the leader of the Autobots. Optimus introduced his subordinates present there. First, Captain Jazz, then the weapons expert named Ironhide, then the medical officer Ratchet, and finally, the one who had been with Sam all this time, Bumblebee. Bumblebee's vocal processor was damaged, so he only communicated through radio broadcasts. Optimus explained they came to Earth to find the Allspark and prevent Megatron from finding it before they did. Optimus then showed Michaela and Sam a projection of the past. Optimus recounted that long ago on the planet Cybertron, they all lived in peace and prosperity. Until one day, a traitor named Megatron appeared. Megatron and his forces, called the Decepticons, then rebelled, and a great war ensued. The war was so massive that it destroyed Cybertron itself and caused the Allspark to disappear into space. Megatron then traced the Allspark's trail to Earth. Then, accidentally, in the Arctic, Captain Witwicky saw Megatron's frozen body before he could get the Allspark. Witwicky accidentally activated Megatron's navigation system, causing Megatron to fire a laser at his glasses. Thus, the coordinates of the Allspark's location were imprinted on the glasses. And if the Decepticons manage to find the Allspark first, they will use it to bring Earth's machines to life and form a new army, then annihilate humanity. Meanwhile, inside an aircraft, Colonel William, examining the previously recovered Scorpion robot body part, discovered that the robot's body could be penetrated by the American Air Force's special weapons. Elsewhere, Maggie and Glenn were being interrogated in a detention room. Meanwhile, Sam had arrived home, followed by the Autobots. Sam went inside his house to look for his grandfather's glasses. The Autobots outside grew impatient, waiting for Sam to find the glasses. One of the Autobots accidentally tripped over a power cable, causing a blackout throughout the entire complex. After Sam found the glasses, a group of agents claiming to be from Sector 7 suddenly arrived at his house. The team was led by Seymour Simmons. One of Simmons' subordinates detected that Sam and Michaela had made direct contact with aliens. They then arrested Sam and Michaela and took them somewhere. Along the way, Simmons revealed the fact that Michaela was a fugitive for helping her father steal cars and sell stolen spare parts. Simmons threatened to imprison Sam and Michaela, but suddenly Bumblebee blocked the convoy. Optimus freed Sam and Michaela, while Jazz disarmed the Sector 7 forces. It was now Sam's turn to interrogate Simmons about Sector 7. However, Simmons refused to answer, while a frustrated Bumblebee then lubricated Simmons' body. They then handcuffed all the Sector 7 members. Specifically for Simmons, Michaela told him to take off his clothes before being handcuffed because she was annoyed that he had threatened her. Unexpectedly, Simmons' subordinates had already called for backup. Another convoy of Sector 7 forces arrived from a distance. This caused the Autobot forces to immediately scatter. Optimus then took Sam and Michaela to hide. While hiding under a bridge, Michaela accidentally slipped. Sam then tried to help her, but this caused Sam to also fall. Fortunately, Bumblebee caught them both below. However, this, of course, revealed their presence. The Sector 7 forces then captured Bumblebee and sprayed him with freezing gas, rendering him immobile. Sam, Michaela, and Bumblebee were then successfully apprehended by the Sector 7 forces. Meanwhile, Optimus and the others could not help Bumblebee because they did not want to cause bloodshed. Optimus then picked up Sam's fallen glasses. Inside the Pentagon, Secretary John was met by an officer from Sector 7 named Tom. At the same time, the virus uploaded by the Decepticon earlier had successfully crippled all communication systems, both satellite and ground. The virus even caused a global power outage. Tom then showed something to the secretary and explained that Sector 7 was a highly secretive government special access division, formed by former President Hoover decades ago. Tom then showed a video recording of the exploration of Mars, where an American satellite was attacked by an unknown entity. Then Tom showed a photo taken by Colonel Williams' subordinates in Qatar earlier, and similarities were seen. Tom explained that William had previously discovered that their current enemy was not invulnerable and could be defeated. That's why they uploaded the virus, so that the American military could not coordinate to face the next attack. Meanwhile, at the Air Force Base, William, who had just landed, was picked up by forces from Sector 7. Elsewhere, Maggie and Glenn were also picked up by Secretary John. They were all then taken inside a giant dam. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Optimus Prime examined the location of the Allspark from inside Sam's glasses. Optimus then commanded his forces to fight to defend the Allspark so that it would not fall into Decepticon hands. If necessary, Optimus wanted the Allspark to be destroyed. If all attempts failed, Optimus was willing for the Allspark to be merged with the spark in his chest. This would destroy the Allspark, even if it meant Optimus would be killed. Optimus did not want humanity to suffer the consequences of the mistakes they had made in the past. Elsewhere, the small robot that had previously disguised itself as Sam's phone now changed shape and infiltrated the dam. Outside, Tom continued to gather information from Sam. Sam agreed to provide his information on the condition that Michaela's criminal record would be expunged. Inside the dam, they saw the frozen body of a large robot, frozen by the Sector 7 team. Tom explained that this robot must have fallen into the Arctic and frozen thousands of years ago. The Sector 7 team moved the robot into this dam in 1934. William was curious why the alien robot was targeting Earth. Sam then explained that the large robot was named Megatron, and they came to Earth targeting a cube called the Allspark. Sam explained that Megatron would use the Allspark's power to annihilate humanity and make Earth their new home. Tom then escorted the group to another location, and indeed, the Allspark was there. Then Tom explained that the cube had been in this location since 10,000 BCE. Past American leaders, knowing the cube also came from outer space, then ordered a dam to be built around it. The dam was built with concrete 4 times the thickness of a soccer field so that its energy could not be detected by anyone or other alien species. Meanwhile, below, the small Decepticon robot absorbed the Allspark's energy, restoring its body to its original state. The small robot then informed all Decepticon members worldwide that the Allspark had been found. Starscream began moving toward the location. Inside the dam, Tom demonstrated the energy produced by the Allspark. He channeled the Allspark's energy into a cell phone. The cell phone transformed into a rampaging robot, firing in all directions. Afterward, Simmons then killed the small robot. Outside, Starscream had already arrived at the dam and began a series of attacks. Inside the control room, the small Decepticon robot deactivated Megatron's cooling system, intending to revive Megatron. Meanwhile, the Autobot forces were on their way to the dam. Simmons then escorted Sam and the others to the room where Bumblebee was being held. Tom then ordered Bumblebee to be released. Sam told Bumblebee that the Decepticon forces had arrived. Sam then took Bumblebee to the Allspark. Bumblebee then pressed something that made the Allspark react. and the Allspark transformed, shrinking in size. William then had an idea to hide the Allspark in the city center. He needed help from the Air Force because they would be facing a huge force. Secretary John then told Simmons to prepare a radio connection to inform the Air Force to get ready. Sam, riding Bumblebee, then prepared to carry out William's plan. Meanwhile, in another hangar, Megatron finally revived. Megatron then transformed into a jet and flew out. Megatron ordered Starscream to chase the Allspark. Inside the dam, Secretary John, assisted by Simmons, Maggie, and Glenn, activated radio communication to contact the Air Force and send Morse code to help them protect the Allspark. Meanwhile, on the way, Optimus's convoy met Bumblebee's convoy. They then joined in escorting Bumblebee, who was carrying the Allspark with Sam inside. On the way, Bumblebee's convoy was chased by Bone Crusher and Barricade. Bone Crusher tried to stop Bumblebee's convoy, but Optimus Prime managed to stop his actions. Optimus then fought Bone Crusher under the bridge and successfully killed Bone Crusher. Inside the dam, while Glenn and the others tried to send information to the Air Force, the small Decepticon robot tried to stop their actions. However, the robot was finally killed by its own weapon. Meanwhile, the Air Force, having received the message from Secretary John, immediately sent fighter jets to the given coordinates. A few moments later, William had now escorted Bumblebee to the city center. They asked for help from a nearby aircraft to protect them. But instead of protecting them, the aircraft fired missiles at them. It turned out to be Starscream. Fortunately, Bumblebee and Ironhide created a protective barricade using a large truck. However, the explosion caused Bumblebee's leg to break, leaving him unable to stand. As William and the others were taking cover, a tank fired at them from a distance. It turned out to be Devastator. Jazz immediately moved forward to confront Devastator, and the other Autobot members then came to assist. A few moments later, Megatron arrived at the battle location. The Autobot members, realizing this, immediately retreated. Elsewhere, Michaela managed to steal a tow truck, which she would use to help Bumblebee escape the battlefield. On top of a building, Megatron easily split Jazz's body in half. Behind them, on top of a building, Blackout had also arrived. Realizing their position was surrounded, William then had an idea to tell Sam to take the Allspark to the top of a building and provide him with a flare, then wait for a helicopter to pick him up there. Meanwhile, Michaela would take Bumblebee away with the tow truck, while Ironhide and Ratchet would protect Sam on his mission. Sam then agreed and started running. Ironhide and Ratchet continued to protect Sam from the attacks of Devastator and Blackout. A few moments later, Optimus also arrived at the battle location. Without hesitation, Optimus immediately challenged Megatron. The two robot leaders then fought. Megatron fired relentlessly at Optimus, rendering Optimus helpless. Elsewhere, while avoiding Blackout's attacks, Sam kept running. This time, Starscream was also chasing him. While running, Sam accidentally dropped the Allspark, which created an energy wave that caused several machines like cars, vending machines, and computers to transform into evil robots. Sam finally managed to enter the intended building, but suddenly from behind, Megatron, who had known Sam's location, immediately entered the building. Elsewhere, Michaela, who had successfully moved Bumblebee away, then thought of something. She did not want to stand by while others were fighting for their lives. Michaela then turned her vehicle, now serving as Bumblebee's legs. Meanwhile, Bumblebee fired at every enemy in front of them. Bumblebee managed to overwhelm Devastator, and with the help of the soldiers who also kept firing at him, Devastator was finally defeated. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Sam had reached the top of the intended building. Sam then lit the flare. But just as the intended helicopter was about to receive the Allspark, it was suddenly shot down by Starscream. Meanwhile, Optimus ran towards Sam, who was now threatened by Megatron. Sam fell due to Megatron's attack. Fortunately, Optimus managed to catch him. Then, from above, Megatron continued to chase Sam. All three of them fell.
Disgusting. Me, Megatron? No, it's just me. You still fight for the weak.
William's troops, who also arrived at the location, then contacted the fighter jets to fire missiles at the targets they had marked. Blackout, realizing he had been marked, then attacked William and his troops. William, on his motorcycle, fearlessly approached Blackout and shot him himself, and Blackout was finally defeated. When the second attack was launched, Starscream was seen attacking an Air Force plane from above. Meanwhile, below, seeing Optimus being pushed back, the military forces then tried to help by firing at Megatron. Optimus, seeing an opportunity, then told Sam to throw the Allspark at Megatron's chest. Sam obeyed, and this caused the Allspark to shatter into Megatron's body. Because of the immense power of the Allspark, Megatron was unable to withstand it, and Megatron finally died. The war finally ended, and Bumblebee, for the first time, was finally able to speak. He expressed his desire to stay on Earth to protect humanity. Several months later, Sector 7 was disbanded. The Decepticon wreckage was dumped in the deepest ocean trench, where the pressure in the sea would destroy them. With the destruction of the Allspark, the dream of building a new Cybertron was now gone. But now, Optimus and his Autobot forces have chosen Earth as their new home and protector of humanity. Meanwhile, Starscream managed to escape Earth's orbit.